very good evening to you from me, Peter Brackley. It's the Carling Cup semi-finals. And tonight in North London, it's episode 1 of the two-parter that leads to Cardiff for either Arsenal or Premiership rivals Middlesbrough. Under normal circumstances, the Gunners, top of the league and indeed unbeaten in the top flight since the back end of last season, will be the hottest of favourites, but there's not quite that situation. As, of course, manager Arsene Wenger has always used the League Cup as a means of testing out some of his younger and indeed fringe players, while at the same time giving established players a breather, and that is the case again this evening. With the likes of Thierry Henry, Robert Pires, Freddie Ljungberg and Sol Campbell all left out, but it is nevertheless still a team fully capable of more than holding their own, and Middlesbrough will take them lightly at their peril. What is certain is that by the end of January, the two respective squads will know each other pretty well. This is the second of 4 games between the clubs this month, 4 matches in 18 days. They also meet in the FA Cup on Saturday, again here at Highbury. Then it's back to the Riverside for the second leg of this semi-final. And of course, they also met in the Premiership less than 2 weeks ago, when Arsenal romped to a resounding 4-1 victory. As we take a check on the two teams, starting with Arsenal, different game, different personnel. That's the case certainly with them. Wenger has named only 3 of the side that started Sunday's win at Aston Villa, but was much relieved that Nigerian star Kanu agreed to delay his trip to the African Nations Cup until tomorrow so that he can play this evening. No Wiltor, Bergkamp or Ali Adier at the moment. They're all injured, so with Henry rested, there's a chance up front indeed to debut at senior level for 17-year-old Dutch striker Quincy Owusu-Abeyi, known hereafter as Quincy. A real mix of youth and experience. No team that includes Martin Keown, Ray Parlour, Edu, Torre, Sigan, indeed Gilberto can be described as a weak one. And they'll be the steadying influence for such blossoming talents as David Bentley and goalkeeper Graham Stack, as well as Quincy. Well, here's the Middlesbrough lineup, chosen by Steve McLaren. A major blow, as I was saying, with the loss of a key defender in Gareth Southgate, but that's countered by the news that Ugo Ehiogu is fit to return alongside Chris Riggott in the middle of the back line. No Jonathan Greening in midfield, he's out with tonsillitis, but Juninho starts in support of Massimo Maccaroni, the Italian. They don't normally give too much away defensively, Middlesbrough, and there is clearly spirit and character in McLaren's team, as they emphasised at the weekend in fighting back with 2 stoppage time goals to earn a 3-3 draw at home to Leicester. Juninho got the first, and he's the ace in the pack really, with his flair and enterprise. And of course, Spaniard Gaisca Mendieta is another capable of providing something out of the ordinary. Steve Dunn taking the whistle tonight, and off we go. It locked towards Bodo Zenden. Here's Kanu. He'll be catching the first flight to Tunisia tomorrow morning. Certainly Arsene Wenger's resources in terms of strikers fully stretched at the moment. So he was very keen for Kanu to delay his trip by 24 hours or so. I think that came off Zenden then. It will indeed be a throw to Arsenal. Ray Parlour operating down the right. Facing Zenden, the former Chelsea player. Doing some good work up at the Riverside now. This is the Frenchman Kedrou letting it roll out for a goal kick. For a Middlesbrough team who are playing in their 7th major cup semi-final, their 5th then in the League Cup. Mark Schwarzer, the only man to have featured in all 3 of their finals. 2 in the League Cup and 1 in the FA Cup. Back in the late 90s. Juninho, of course, in his 3rd spell now with Borough. And he was on the scene at the time of those finals. Sporting. Schwarzer, the Australian who suffered an absolute howler at the weekend in gifting one of the goals to Leicester. That put them 3-1 down, but they fought back so strongly to save the game right at the death. Macaroni with one of the goals, and the other was an own goal from Leicester defender John Curtis. Both of those goals in stoppage time. Macaroni losing out there. Here's Mendieta. Such a big influence for Middlesbrough since his move from Lazio on loan. Gilberto moving us smoothly on to Edu. But there was Ehihog. Now Seagull. Never really established himself as an Arsenal regular, Seagull, but he's had plenty of opportunities lately. Partner with Martin Keown tonight. Kanu up front with Quincy. Juninho, who's been talking this week about the need for Middlesbrough to, he feels anyway, show more positive approach. He felt they played here with too much fear 10 days ago. Certainly Danny Mills didn't. An altercation with Henry, hits the booze tonight. The last person you want to wind up surely is Henry. But Mills did, and he suffered for it. Here's Torre. Been a revelation this season for Arsenal. The young man from the Ivory Coast. It was Kanu, the Nigerian, and Edu, the Brazilian. It's a real cosmopolitan flair in this team. This is young Bentley. Way by Ehihog. Now Clichy. Ashley Cole's understudy. Flags up for offside against Quincy. A little too keen on that occasion. I think they put his full name on the back of his shirt now, Owusu Abeyi, but I think we'll stick to Quincy. Here's Torre. Right back tonight, but he's been playing so well in the centre of the back line in recent weeks. Off goes Clichy. Not unlike Ashley Cole in style, he's got plenty of pace. But Danny Mills will never be short on commitment. Curtailing his run in familiar fashion. Here's Seagull. Now Martin Keown. Getting a fairly rare outing, although he did play in the last round. We win at West Bromwich Albion. It's taken in by Gilberto, it's let in Juninho, who has Macaroni up with him. Now Zenden. The danger hasn't passed yet. Good block though by Torre. With Gilberto down injured. And sportingly, Middlesbrough have kicked the ball out of play. It was Doriva, his fellow Brazilian, who caught him. Danny Mills. Aiming for Macaroni. Here's Mendieta. Now Gilberto seems to be okay. Made a very swift recovery. Riggott. Standing in for Gareth Southgate again. Here's Boateng. The only ever present in the Middlesbrough team this season. Very combative midfield player, the Dutchman. Well, under Steve McLaren, they've conceded only 12 goals in the last 14 games. And they had that spell, you'll remember, they went 677 minutes without conceding at all before they let in one against Tottenham in the Carling Cup in the last round. But 7 have gone in the last 2 games. They have certainly missed Southgate and Ehiob. Also missing Colin Cooper, who started at the weekend but then went off injured. So young Davis had to come on to take his place. Deriva picking on the other Brazilian, then Edu. Here's Torre. Middlesbrough clearly really fired up for this game and determined to put on a much better show than 10 days ago. Torre with a surging run and very nearly finished it off too. He has been fantastic, Torre, since getting his place in the team. Doesn't matter where he plays, he's outstanding. Put him up front, it wouldn't matter. Great little run then by the Ivory Coast international. It so nearly produced a goal. Now a trip on Bentley. And the Highbury fans have really taken to him. I think it's hard for Wenger to leave him out. Seagun. Here's Torre again. Movement ahead of him from Parla, but it was Kanu who found instead. Now it's Parla. Played some marvellous stuff at the weekend in winning at Villa, mainly with a different team, Arsenal. But it's the same shape, the same style that we're seeing tonight. Seagull read that situation really well. Zenden losing out to Parla, but Boateng able to help him out. Now Mills. He's going to get some fearful stick tonight from the Highbury crowd. Oh, Schwarzer in trouble again. Very similar to the incident at the weekend. Just a lack of concentration, really. Very out of character. He's normally very reliable at the back. But he slipped in this fashion against Marcus Bent on Saturday, and the Leicester striker went on to score. Schwarzer, who is in talks now about a new contract when his existing deal is over. I don't think that would have enhanced his prospects too much. But generally, I know Steve McLaren's been delighted with his form. Over 250 games for the club now. Boateng, strong in the tackle, too strong for Kanu. Here's Doriva. And Janino. Hovering just behind the main striker, Macaroni. Boateng. Was careless there. They might get punished for it. Quincy Owusu-Abeyi. He's got quick feet. Ray Parla. Switching flex. Asking a lot of Torre. Come back, you need it. He has arrived in North London like a breath of fresh air with his amazing talent, Torre. Steve McLaren mighty relieved to have Ehiob back in defence tonight. He had been a big doubt because of a groin injury that's been keeping him out of the team. Parla. It was Kanu. Now Deriva for Middlesbrough. Apart from that Arsenal game here, have been doing pretty well away from home generally. They've lost only 1 of their last 8 on their travels in all competitions. And how they would relish an away goal here to set them up for the return leg. Away goals counting double after extra time, should we get that far in the return. Parla to Gilberto, who seems to have shrugged off that earlier knock. Here's Ray Parlour. One of the most experienced players now at Highbury, of course. Not necessarily an automatic starter these days, but he'll never let you down. Janino, oh, could be a costly stumble, and he just pulled back Adu then. I think he will caution for that too. Steve Dunn calling him over. No real complaint. More in frustration than anything else. One Brazilian on another. He has been at odds with his manager on occasions this season when he's been left out. And he feels McLaren's tactics sometimes have been too negative. Adu. Now Clichy. Doriva to Ekiog. The League Cup winner in the past with Aston Villa back in the mid-90s. It was Danny Mills. Seagan managing to smuggle it away. Mendieta. Now Boateng. Parlour over-aggressive in his challenge on Doriva. That was Kerdru with Macaroni. Now Bola Zenton. Zenton again. Kerdru. Doriva. A lovely little ball as well for Mendieta. A shooting opportunity. Was Seagan in the way? Parlour. Here's Quincy. And Ray Parlour. Just couldn't pull it back into the path of Kanu. Juninho. Couldn't deceive Seagan. Gilberto. Good pace to the game. Here's Juninho. Boateng surging forward in support. Here's Juninho again. He's got Macaroni up with him. Off the post. Oh. And into the grateful arms of Graham Stack, who knew nothing about that. Some really fluent football here from Middlesbrough. Juninho to Boateng. No one's picked up Juninho there. And such disappointment for him as it came back off the upright. Graham Stack was beaten. Juninho, no flags up. And the referee has given the free kick. Steve Dunn to Arsenal. But he's been busy, constantly on the move, Juninho. Always probing, always looking for an opening. And Arsenal can't relax for a moment against him. Looks as if he's struggling to keep up, Steve Dunn. Certainly the game must flow pretty quickly. Another offside though, this time against Quincy Owusu-Abeyi, who has a bit of trouble, I'm told, with his timekeeping. He travels to training by public transport, and that's a test for anyone. Could be days late. I know, I've tried it. Torre to Parlour. Did he keep that alive? No. Arsenal hoping for their 6th League Cup final. Twice winners, remember, in the past. 6 years, though, since they last featured at this stage. Well in, Danny Mills. Typically crunching challenge. Little clash then with Bentley off the ball. Gaizka Mendieta. Then Juninho. Skipping away from Parlour. Doriva. A much more even contest, this one. than the previous one here. Kadru. But then in fairness, you would expect that given the change in Arsenal's personnel. Thierry Henry and co just frightened the life out of them here in that league game. It was a torrid afternoon for Danny Mills, who decided to indulge in some banter with Henry just before he took his penalty. Not a wise decision, or not one his manager would thank him for. And Henry finished the afternoon by nutmegging Danny Mills over by the corner flag. Not a man to trifle with. Deriva. Now Kadru. Juninho making no impression. Edu and Gilberto, the Brazilian connection. Clichy. On by Edu to Kanu. A foul then by George Boateng, the Dutch international. Free kick to Arsenal. Bentley. No way past Mills. Sigon to Martin Keown. 37 now, Keown. Still relishing the battle. Good ball, Cardo. Bentley to his left. Now will he take on Mills here? In towards Quincy. This is Zenden. Luckily for him, Kadru was on his guard. Juninho to Boateng. That's a foul surely by Edu on Juninho, who scored the opener for Middlesbrough against Leicester at the weekend. That makes him top scorer with just 5. It's been their problem, their Achilles heel this season. They haven't scored enough goals, Middlesbrough. Only 20 in the Premiership. Pretty solid elsewhere in the team when they're at full strength. Good tracking back then by Edu. But then it's a loose ball to Mills. Juninho is popping up everywhere. But it was fairly won back by Clichy. Kanu on the charge then for Arsenal. Parler is square of him. And then Torre surging forward in support. Good claim by Schwarzer. Juninho, what a quick throw out that was then from the Australian. There could be problems for Arsenal here. No, Juninho got it wrong. Bentley, certainly end to end. Kanu. Torre. This is Ray Parler, back came Macaroni. Boateng. Juninho. Doesn't really have a position. Mendieta. Seemed to be under some pressure then, but no sympathy from referee Dunn. David Bentley. Coming up to the half-hour mark. Really has flown by the first 30 minutes. It's a lovely skill then from Bentley. Here's the other youngster, Quincy Owusu-Abeyi. He has some fancy footwork. I think they felt when he first came to the club he rather overdid it. They want him to be more direct. But he's a crowd pleaser. Not bad at 17. I wouldn't try that on Danny Mills too often, though, if I were him. Mendieta. Nobody upfield, though, for Middlesbrough. Well, they've given a decent account of themselves so far on this testing night at Highbury. But not too many teams prosper. Miscue by Rigger, but he's got away with it. Here's Jadinho. Always seems to be available. Macaroni to Kerdru. That was aimless, though. Here's Gilberto. He's a calming influence in the midfield, Gilberto. Not as spectacular as some of his fellow Brazilians, but he does get through some sterling work. Gael Clichy. I like the look of him. This is Edu. Clichy. Now Gilberto. Possession from Arsenal without penetration so far. See what Parler can do here. On for Kanu. Really promising build-up, and it deserved better as David Bentley arrived on the scene. It's an eye-catching approach play without the end product. Liam Brady, Arsenal's youth development officer, and of course an Arsenal great. He's been bringing on the juniors here, and he'll be very proud of the likes of Bentley and Quincy at getting their opportunity. Mendieta. The kick taken quickly. Here's Zenden. Couldn't get his shot away though, thanks to Edu. Gilberto. Now Kanu. Arsenal looking to sweep forward again, but back comes Danny Mills. As the Gears will tell you. Well, it was a sight of goal then for Bolo Zenden, but no more than that. Riggett. Now Doriva. Eugenio offside. He looked it to me. Danny Mills had seen his run. So the linesman. Stabbed away by Ehioc to Mendieta. Boateng was a bit sloppy then. Gave it away to Gilberto. Kanu. With those elastic legs. He's an amazing player, Kanu. You never know quite what he's going to do next. Very unpredictable, but so often deadly. Edu. Gilberto with a lovely little reverse pass then to Edu again. Here's Kanu. Can he force his way through here? No free kick. Jadinho on the rebound. Offside Macaroni. Boateng who gave it away initially. That was his challenge there. Looking to make amends on Kanu. A heavy one, but a fair one in the eyes of referee Dunn. Bentley does look smooth in possession. I suppose a Bentley should do. Here's Ehioc. Well cut out by Clichy. Some eyebrows were raised when Arsene Wenger let Van Bronckhorst leave the club, but he knew that Clichy was coming through as cover for Ashley Cole, and he's been proved right, I think. Gilberto. And Pascal Sigan. No cutting edge as yet from Arsenal. Somehow it's not quite the real Arsenal without Henry, without Pires, and Campbell and Ljungberg. It is the second string, and in many cases, slipped in by Sigan. Now will he be punished for it? Juninho back for Zenden. Don't quite have that belief themselves in the last third at the moment, Middlesbrough. Both teams with a lot of attractive approach play, but nothing to show for it. Here's Mills. Now Boateng. Clichy with the foot in. Clichy stepping away from Mills. They haven't lost at home in their last 11 games in all competitions here, Arsenal. No easy ride so far this evening. Juninho, and finally away by Keown. And some holding, I think, by Ekihok. Wrestling Quincy to the ground. Kanu. Now Mills. History certainly is not Middlesbrough's side. They've only beaten Arsenal here once in 65 years. Torre. Failing to outsmart Kerdru, but he has got a corner through his persistence. Kerdru, who put through his own goal in the 4-1 defeat here the weekend before last. Arsenal's second corner of the night. Sigan a target in the middle. So is Keown. Here's Edu with the kick. Getting tangled up with Danny Mills. Not the first to suffer that fate. Arsenal against Middlesbrough here, and then tomorrow it's Bolton against Aston Villa in the other semi-final. The winners of these two games on to Cardiff for the final at the end of February. It's an Arsenal throw, surely, off Olo Zenden, yeah. Parlour. Mendieta with Boateng and Juninho. Again, some careless distribution. Quincy, all on his own at the moment. Keen to dazzle. Can't beat them all though. Boateng, Juninho. Constant source of irritation to the Gunners. Danny Mills on a run. Not for long. Clichy had the measure of him. He's not short on confidence. Quincy Owusu-Abeyi. Mendieta. Sigan has dealt with it. Edu stepping elegantly forward, off goes Kanu. Quincy up with him. Parlour's there too, still Kanu. Just seemed to bobble up then as he went to strike for goal. Now the crowd on their feet, but he couldn't deliver. Rather lacked conviction there at the death, Kanu. Seemed to lose control of it. Seagull. Don't think the long balls in the air are going to bring much reward. Here's Juninho, who will favour a different path to goal. Parler and Gilberto. Now can Arsenal get up a head of steam here? Ray Parler. Oh, it's an excellent pass too, and Riggett really had to keep his concentration there, with Quincy hovering in the vicinity. Pass was finally executed by Parler. Veering towards half-time, it's Edu with the corner. Martin Keown ambling forward to join Gilberto and Kanu and Seagull. Clichy. 4 clean sheets in their last 8 away games, Middlesbrough. So generally they do keep things tight on their travels. Not here last time, but that was an exception. Certainly done more attacking tonight. They've had a fair measure of consistency too overall in recent weeks. They've lost only 2 of their last 16 senior games. Zenden, who has proved a useful acquisition for Steve McLaren in his move up from Chelsea. Seagull just tidying up. At the end of the 45, there will be a minimum of 1 more minute. Clichy. Hihok. Too strong really for Kanu. Macaroni barged over, short hit by Torre. Rather unnecessary. Torre has gone into the crowd quickly to lift him up and see if he's okay. But that was reckless really from Torre. The ball was going out. No need for that. Well, I think he'll be okay. He might need some attention first. Certainly, it would appear someone in the crowd does. Yeah. We'll hope there's a speedy recovery. Seagull to Edu. And comes Boateng. The right-hold battle going on in the midfield. Now comes Deriva with the ball though. Juninho to his right. Wanted too much time though, and Arsenal wouldn't give it to him. Clichy. That was Mendieta on his way back. Danny Mills, then Boateng. Mills once more. Mendieta. It's a foul on Mills. This time keeping the verbals to himself. Barely a whimper of protest from Mills. But a moment of concern now then for Arsenal in stoppage time at the end of the first half. Stack, who has seen one effort from Juninho, flash past him and off the upright. Will it be Kerdru to hit one from here, or Zenden maybe? Here's the Dutchman Zenden. Sizing it up, but leaving it for Kerdru. Perhaps he shouldn't have done. All that build-up and then this. Yeah, I'll take it next time, he's thinking, I'm sure. Well, that should be just about it now. No, it was, yeah, just a 1 minute, I think. So a little bit more added on by Steve Dunn from somewhere. That's Riggott for the header. Seagon. Now Gilberto. Manhandled. Tripped by Juninho, and it's a free kick taken by Parla. Kolo Touré. Well, an intriguing first half. Plenty of good possession from both teams. Juninho has been nearest to a goal with his effort that hit the post. Arsenal really haven't created too much. Graham Stack was beaten on that occasion, but Arsenal survived. Wusu Abe is working hard at the other end without getting too much joy so far. And at half-time in this Carling Cup semi-final first leg at Highbury, it's Arsenal 0, Middlesbrough 0.
February on Fox Sports. Our commitment to live sport has never been stronger. Cricket, 2 Great One Day Series, live and exclusive. Ricky Ponting leads Australia on their tour of Sri Lanka. And from New Zealand, the Proteas face the Black Caps.
Lovely shot.
Basketball, 2 live games tipping off every week. The action hotter than ever with the final series about to take off. Soccer, 14 live matches from the English Premier League, including Arsenal-Chelsea, plus the Carling Cup final live.
Amazing.
Golf, the USPGA Tour returns in February, the Australasian Tour, and the World Golf Championships all live.
Wow.
Rugby Union's biggest provincial championship returns. The 2004 Super 12 tournament is live, kicking off February 20th, and Fox Sports is the only place you'll see it. The live action just keeps on coming. February on Fox Sports.
Worn G's by King G. Wear 'em out.
I don't know, digital schmigital, what is all the fuss?
Big movies at the touch of a button.
Directing your own sports coverage?
Fastest news service ever.
Can't wait.
But where on earth does all this amazing technology come from?
Welcome back from me, Peter Brackley. It's the second half of the Carling Cup semi-final first leg at Highbury. Arsenal 0, Middlesbrough 0 at the halfway stage. Borough, I would think, the happier of the two teams, bearing in mind they have the second leg at home still to come. Arsenal, incidentally, have not lost any of their last 30 domestic games. But it's a tough assignment tonight. Not a great deal between the two teams in the first 45 minutes. Indeed, it was Borough who came closest to scoring through Juninho. Seagan. to Clichy. That was George Boateng mopping up. Good strong header from Seagull to Kanu. Now Chris Riggott, the England under-21 international defender. One or two useful surges down the right from Kolo Touré in that first half. I'm sure Arsene Wenger will have encouraged him to carry out more of the same in the second period. Here's Parler again, working it on to Touré. Now this could be promising. Now well cleared by Riggott. Mendieta. Boateng. Striding forward with some purpose, but caught by Edu. Well, there was an injury to Boateng. I'm not sure there was an offence though. The Dutchman thought there should be a free kick for him. Did seem to wrap his legs from underneath him. But I think the referee, Steve Dunn, has taken a lenient view of that. Edu is getting through some good defensive work tonight. Not normally the strongest part of his game. Touré, Boateng limping a little, not looking too comfortable. Here's Clichy. Pascal Seagull. We gave it straight to Mills. Mendieta. Edu over elaborating. Danny Mills to cross it in. Neither side they're really carrying a great deal of menace in the last third. Maybe they can now. Middlesbrough with Juninho. That was a wonderful save from Stack. Well, we have the feeling if anyone is going to do this for Middlesbrough tonight, Juninho is the man. Kerdru. Wonderful stop by the young goalkeeper. Seagull to hoof it away. It was Gilberto who was caught in possession, and Juninho really brought the best out of Graham Stack. Gilberto. Now Quincy. Has he pulled it back too far for Kanu? He has. Suddenly the opening developed and they haven't taken advantage. George Boateng. What a fine pass as well. Here's Zender. Didn't quite have it under control. But a real zip to the first 5 minutes of the second half. That's a great ball then from Gilberto. Young Quincy, the 17-year-old, racing on to it. Don't think he quite realised where Kanu was. And the chance was wasted. Edu. But he has become a key member of the squad, Edu. Not always first choice, but a very consistent performer. Mills. And Doriva. Back came Bentley. Gilberto to Kanu. He felt he won it cleanly. Steve Dunn didn't. Bentley to Clichy. Just clipped in by Mendieta, but he kept his feet. Bentley. Again, the referee saying nothing wrong. Danny Mills to Macaroni. Now Kerdru. Macaroni again. Picked on by Zenden. Keane at his most alert, but it's Mendieta now. Played in for Juninho. Yes! A goal for Middlesbrough, and it had to be Juninho. They've been threatening a goal since the start of the second half, and to the delight of their travelling fans, and it's a long way down from the northeast. They have the breakthrough. Just nudged on there by Zenden. Keown in some trouble, and Mendieta had the presence of mind to roll it into the path of Juninho, and it was a crisp and clinical finish. Steve Dunn with a perfect view of all that, allowing play to go on, and it was a chilling, tidy finish from Juninho. The little fella, as he's known, idolised by the Middlesbrough fans, and even more so now. It could be a priceless goal. Away from home against Arsenal. His 6th goal this season, and it's a memorable one. Stack beaten again, and this time the post didn't come to his rescue. And could this be, I wonder, the turning point in this semi-final? Four meetings between the two teams this month. 3 of them are here. So it's hard on the pockets of those Middlesbrough fans who've come down from Teesside. But it'll be well worth it now. They won't begrudge a penny of it. Seagull on to Bentley. This is Edu. You cannot, of course, write Arsenal off, not with their record this season, whatever team they're fielding. Macaroni. Middlesbrough buoyant at the moment. Juninho making a dart ahead of him. Very nearly took it in his stride too. Well, he's an impish figure of such talent, such ability. And it was a sublime finish. Just look at the room he's got here. No one in an Arsenal shirt had picked him up at all. And making full use of that space to steer it in. But Arsene Wenger will be bitterly disappointed with his team's marking, or its lack of it. Gilberto to Torre. Again eating up the ground with another purposeful run. And Quincy! It's a decent effort too. Very sharp there. Another probing effort then from Torre with his run. He turned smartly to Quincy, but not quite on target. And just checking around with Arsenal officials at half-time, he does want to be known as Quincy. So Quincy he shall be. Never mind the Owusu Abe on his shirt. I'm sure he's changed that anyway. I think in the early round he was called Quincy on the back of his shirt. Just trying to irritate the commentators. Quincy up front with Kanu. Zenden. It's broken up by Gilberto. Parla, away from Riggers. Here's Kanu. Still Kanu. Oh, just couldn't pull it back. Typically mazy run from the Nigerian. He's never orthodox. Torre, and then Kanu. Boateng just managing to stab it away, but only as far as Seagull. Back come Arsenal again with Clichy and Bentley. That was Ehiog. Now Zenden. Very tight in there. Edu making no headway. Approaching the hour mark in this Carling Cup semi-final first leg. And it's Middlesbrough who have the edge. Thumped 4-0 up at the Riverside, 4-1 here at Highbury 10 days ago. They've had little joy out of Arsenal previously this season. Is this going to be their night though now? Here's the run by Kanu. Just trying to lay it off then for Bentley. And it very nearly came off. Certainly seemed to have deceived Ehiog. Maybe Schwarzer as well. Just couldn't finish off the job. Gilberto. Now Torre. Ray Parler. Middlesbrough working really hard to close him down and protect their lead. It's Cardo though. Kudru, the poor clearance, gifting possession to Edu. Here's Gael Clichy. No real height in there. Kolo Torre. Good Edu up with him. Came back off Ehiog, and then Bentley going for the spectacular, and his boot was high. But Arsenal giving it a real go now in their efforts to find an equaliser. Well, a tame header by Riggott. It's gone unpunished in the end as Bentley's boot flew in the face then of George Boateng, I think it is, yes. There's Ehiog clashing with Edu. And his boot was around the right ear of George Boateng. It certainly floored him. Kudru. Here's Juninho. Sendon to Kudru again. A little casual there with his pass, but it's seized on by Mendieta, working tirelessly, the Spaniard. And then that applies to all this Middlesbrough team. They have a real chance now of making it to Cardiff, making it to the Carling Cup final. Long way to go yet, though. Mendieta. Here comes Edu. Not for the first time tonight. David Bentley. Macaroni. Clichy decisive with his challenge. What a good prospect he looks. Mills getting an ear bashing again. Water for Ducks back. Here he is again. Not too many friends among the Arsenal fans. Oh, good effort then from Macaroni. And it was stacked to the rescue. Kanu. Here's Parler. Another scare for Arsenal. Almost another goal for Middlesbrough. Parler. Here's Gilberto. And then, oh, Quincy couldn't get through. Up comes Clichy. Middlesbrough appealing for offside, but the flag stayed down. Edu. As the game opens up again. In comes Sendon and Deriva. Some tigerish tacklers in this Middlesbrough team. But Arsenal have some too. Well, another excellent piece of goalkeeping by Stack. Smart shot too from Macaroni. That was travelling. Stack getting strong hands to it to push it away. That's a caution for Kudru. He's had problems with his discipline. Doing his best to keep it in check. But not well enough tonight. This is Jerome Thomas coming on for Quincy. He was a late substitute in the last round against West Brom. Jerome Thomas. Another of the youngsters coming through at Highbury. Another desperate to impress. it was Martin Keown who suddenly appeared. Couldn't quite keep it down. It was Bentley just lobbing it in, and Keown in very determined fashion, rising well, but over the bar. Seagull. There's Thomas. That's good play from Ugo Ehiogu. Now Juninho trying to pick out Macaroni, but Arsenal had sufficient cover. Bentley on to Kanu. Thomas to his right, so too is Ray Parlour. I think that ball was intended for Thomas. Skipping away from Zenden, although he was caught. Then it's Toure. Got a little kick then, Thomas. She was feeling a little gingerly. I think he's okay though. Here's David Bentley. He's done well to cross it in, but Mills getting it away. Now it's Adu. So many times tonight he has one possession back for Arsenal. But the finish was a little tame. But Middlesbrough will have to dig in now to see out the last, 22 minutes or so. Always going well wide from Adu. Then his Bearcap might have been closer with his finishing ability. Not yet ready to return. Don't think he's going to play at the weekend. Remember, he's out. Will Tor, Ali Adier, and with Henry rested, Arsene Wenger's selection was limited tonight. Here's Kanu, who has stayed on to play. And tomorrow is off to the African Nations Cup. Thomas with Gilberto. Clichy. We're past the midway point in the second half. Adu to Bentley. Mills in the way. And again. Now it's Gaizka Mendieta. Juninho trying to release the Spaniard. Adu. Riggett. This is Mills. Well, the foot was high. He flew into that challenge then. Danny Mills. Steve Dunn didn't like it. The ball was there to be disputed, in fairness to him. He is nothing if not combative, Danny Mills. And he has been cautioned. And the level of abuse aimed in his direction will be even stronger now. Clichy to Gilberto. Now Martin Keown. That's good football for Arsenal. Parlour to Adu. Very nearly slipped it through. The Middlesbrough slamming the door shut. Macaroni. Offside surely Zenden. Haydu's had a fine match tonight. Almost weaved some magic here. It was Mendieta who came sliding in. Took 2 or 3 of them to stop him. Mendieta certainly played his part. Kanu. Thomas. Chance not taken though by Bentley. As it's gathered in by Mark Schwarzer. Took up a good position here, Bentley. Mills has got one eye on him, but can't stop him delivering the shot. But he can't beat Mark Schwarzer. Doriva with Boateng. Here's Macaroni. Trying to shake off Clichy. Seagan on the scene as well. Bit of confusion here, but it will be a free kick to Arsenal. Now another change. This is Ryan Smith, another attacking player. And he's replacing David Bentley. And he's done okay. Ryan Smith, an England youth international, he's only 17. A first-year scholar at the club. Born in nearby Islington. Shows how big the squad is. We've got numbers 56 and 53. A good touch from Zenden. Juninho. Now Mendieta. But Arsenal can break here. Gilberto. In goes Parla. It's a free kick to Middlesbrough. Well, he's Arsenal through and through, Ray Parla. Another fully committed performance from him tonight. But Middlesbrough continuing to keep Arsenal at bay. And Pires and Vieira can see the funny side of it. I'm not sure why. Sitting this game out tonight, who knows? They might be needed yet at the Riverside. Mendieta. Now Mills. Here's Doriva. Given away by Macaroni rather cheaply. Colo Torre. 53 is Jerome Thomas. 17 is Edu. Spreading the play intelligently too. Ryan Smith. He's kept going. Mills with a challenge. Timed it well. But it's Clichy now to Kanu. Taking on Mills. Still Kanu. And once again it's come to nothing. As Thomas came in. Some real defiance back there from Danny Mills. Trip surely on Juninho. Not given. Steve Dunn unconvinced. Smith. Oozing with confidence. Now Gilberto. And Torre being urged on here by the Arsenal fans. The team unbeaten, remember, in 30 domestic games. And they haven't lost in any competition in 20 outings. Kiev were the last team to beat them. October the 21st. Adu with the corner. Torre. Then it was Keown and now Kanu. Desperate defending by Middlesbrough. Ryan Smith. He has been quick to make an impression, the youngster. Bounce back off Kanu. Clichy. This is Parla. Now Adu. Really hit that one too. It's Kanu and Keown. Still they're battering away. Just won't go in. Kolo Torre firing it wide. Some venom behind that one from Adu. Keown in the mix, and then wide from Torre. But they're certainly not flagging here, Arsenal. Joseph Desiree Job. Coming on now, it'll be a straight swap with Massimo Macaroni. Job, who played up front from the start at the weekend, missed a penalty after he himself had been brought down by Nikos Dabizas. Job from Cameroon. Middlesbrough's free kick. Frank Codru will take it. Seagal and Gilberto. Here's Kanu. Kolo Torre. So incisive passing here by Arsenal, with some solid defending by Chris Riggott. They're not the best of clearances in the end. Now they have some more defending to do. Heading towards the last 10 minutes. Gilberto. Then Torre. Kanu trying to switch it. It's Doriva in possession. Juninho. So bubbly and effervescent tonight from Middlesbrough. So too has been Gaizka Mendieta on the ball here. But he's lost the battle. Clichy. Oh dear, what a misunderstanding there with Jerome Thomas. Mills. Too heavy for Job. It's a nice guy off the field, apparently. He's a terror on it. Kanu. It was Kadru. Now then to Job. Adu. Trying to thread it on for Thomas. Making a real nuisance of himself against Riggott. But the defender was up to the task. Now we've got another change here for Middlesbrough. Stuart Parnaby is going to come on. And Mendieta giving way. Well, as they say in the trade, he's worked his socks off tonight. And no wonder he is receiving such applause from the travelling support from Middlesbrough. He actually went home for a break back to Spain a little while back and then returned with a virus, which has held him back a little, Mendieta. Maybe he's still suffering from that. He was a sub at the weekend. Adu. Ray Parla. And Adu. It's squirmed away for the corner. Boateng on his defensive guard. Adu's kick. It won't reach Gilberto. That was Boateng. Back in by Parla. Appeal for handball. By every Arsenal supporter in the ground. And from Parla. Steve Dunn not interested. Gilberto with clever feet. Adu and Parla. That was Ehiog under pressure from Kanu. Oh, Riggett let it run then. I think he was aware that Kanu was behind him. Well, he had the best view. Played in by Parla. Straight at Juninho. It did seem to strike him on the hand. Sometimes they're given, sometimes they aren't. Nursed on by Zenden, but it was out of play. Deep inside the last 10. Hooked on by Parla. There's Riggett. A good play from Job. Now Juninho. Look at Parnaby on a run too down the Middlesbrough right. Boateng. He's got Mills supporting too. Here's Parnaby. Wasn't a bad ball either. Job was almost on the end of it. Back in by Zenden. But out of harm's way. It's only just beyond the reach then of Joseph Desiree Job. Here's Parnaby again, and Boateng. Parnaby has been out of favour really lately. He's had injury problems. Now Clichy has been penalised. A moment of danger perhaps brewing here. Run through the endeavour of George Boateng. Such a wholehearted player in the midfield. Ashley Cole not needed then. Zenden with the free kick. They haven't posted too many up there, but there's still height with Ehiog and Job, who's on the near post. Boateng was very tight on his man, but they got the advantage here. At least they should have had with Thomas. That's great covering from Mills. He might have his critics, but he does a sterling job for Middlesbrough. Out of favour, of course, at Leeds. Very much back in the picture now, up at Teesside. I think he would like to stay. We got on loan there. Parla. Goodness me, he's covered some ground, Ray Parla. Here he is again now, threatening for Arsenal. And it flew just wide. The deviation off Chris Riggett. Back to the wall stuff here now for Middlesbrough. Almost into the last 5 minutes. Worked like a Trojan tonight, Ray Parla. Adu with the corner. Torre. Oh dear. Back to plan B. Clichy. Danny Mills to thump it upfield. Oh, now there could be big problems. Job. He's got Juninho in space to his left. Has he lost his chance? He has. Juninho will be absolutely furious. Kanu. With Riggett in close attendance. Thomas trying to wriggle free. It's a great tackle there by Ugo Ehiog. They've had some outstanding defenders tonight, Middlesbrough. And at the moment, they have provided the game's most significant moment at the attacking end with Juninho's strike. Is it going to be enough now? This was the moment when Clichy got himself in a terrible dither. But Job couldn't pick out Juninho. dallied too long, and the opportunity was gone. But here's Janino once more, locating Parnaby. Oh, over the top from Job, it should have been two. Well, I talked earlier of turning points, that might have been another one. Steve McLaren could not believe it. Ghosting into space, no defender in sight, and he just panicked really. It's one, it should have been two, and he will be bitterly, bitterly disappointed. Joseph Desiro Job. Don't need me to tell him what a great opportunity that was that he squandered. It would have given them so much more to defend up at the Riverside. Kanu. Now Parla. This is Edu. Dodging away from Janino. Torres pass, it's Kanu. And still it won't go in. And they must be now thinking it is not going to be their night. It was off Torre, I think, there. Gilberto. Edu. Job was tracking back though, now Zenden. Led off by Deriva. There will be 2 more minutes at the end of the 90. Gael Clichy. Route 1 this time, it's not the Arsenal way. But they have to gamble now. Just hope they can find an equaliser to take with them into the second leg. Segan. Janino. Too clever for one, but not for two. Colo Torre. Now Parnaby. Time on the ball for Clichy. Keown. That was Gilberto. But again, the threat of Kanu is snuffed out. Frank Kadru to Deriva. Kadru having to chase back. Just about kept it alive at the expense of a throw. Kanu. The ball juggling by him. Here's Ray Parla. It's another corner. Middlesbrough under siege. And holding on here. They have to survive at least 2 more minutes. Edu. Came back off Keown. Edu once more. Arsenal capped deep in that Middlesbrough half. There's the confirmation, 2 more minutes. You sure, says Arsene Wenger. Clichy. Evading Job. Still Gael Clichy. It was straight at Hugo Ehion. Janino. He's got Job to his left. Oh, if only he could have sent him through there. It's another opportunity that they have failed to take. They might yet live to regret it. Ray Parla. Kadru standing his ground. 90 seconds or so remaining. Ray Parla. It's a throw. Well, Steve Dunn saying it's a corner. Seagun, one of the targets in the middle. All hands to the pump back there for Middlesbrough. Called in by Adu. Now Steve Dunn has seen some pushing and respite from Middlesbrough. Regarded by many as no-hopers in this semi-final, that has not proved to be the case. Juninho with what may well be now then the only goal of this semi so far. A gem of a player and a gem of a goal. Only a few seconds then remaining now. Adu. Last chance for Arsenal. Kolo Touré. Juninho calming it all down with Boateng. Now Deriva. Well, it's only half-time in terms of the two legs, but it's Middlesbrough who have the edge at this halfway stage. Juninho with the only goal of the night. So coolly taken too. And I wonder now what team that Arsene Wenger will send out for the second leg at the Riverside. Much depended on the outcome of this first leg. I think if Arsenal had cruised it tonight, well, he could have put the Yuxes in again, but maybe now have a rethink. But for Steve McLaren, it's a wonderful result, and they will not have a better chance than this of getting to a major cup final. Juninho's goal gives them a real prospect now of going on to Cardiff for the final. But of course you cannot rule out Arsenal, especially if Henry and co are wheeled out for the return. We shall wait to see. In the meantime, Middlesbrough can savour the moment. They have beaten Arsenal, who suffer their first defeat then in 31 domestic games. They've beaten them by 1-0 at Highbury.
Updating Fox Sports News. Australia has maintained its position atop the Tri-Series table after a thrilling victory over India in Sydney. A Brett Lee six on the third last ball of the match helped seal the two-wicket win with a ball to spare. Australia's top men's seed Mark Philippoussis is through to the third round of the Australian Open, following a 4-set win over Fabrice Santoro.
Standing ovation.
Meanwhile, Pat Rafter's return to Grand Slam tennis was short-lived. The two-time US Open champion teamed up with Josh Eagles in the doubles, but went down in straight sets.
Get the complete picture with Fox Sports News tonight at 7. Tonight on Fox Sports 1, the place to be for your comprehensive roundup of the beautiful game. The European Football Show keeps you up to date with the latest from the fast-paced world of European football at 7:30.
Oh, fantastic goal!
Then we get you in the mood for another weekend of explosive action from the English Premier League with the preview show at 8:30. Lock yourself in for a double dose of football tonight from 7:30. Fox Sports 1.